Yo, don't forget to support WrestleTalk. And don't forget to give us a subscribe.
Support WrestleTalk!
Could WWE stars be any more buried? I'm Ollie Davis. This is Luke Owen. Welcome to this episode, this not live WrestleTalk live episode, WrestleTalk not live. As you're watching this right now, we're getting hammered. It's our Christmas party day today. That's why I'm dressed up. That's why you're in a Christmas jumper. We're going to do karaoke. We're going to play video games down at the pub. And a good time will be had by all.
Yeah, we've got a busy day of filming today. That's mostly nonsense drinking because we've got to record the Christmas special that'll go out on Christmas Day. And we've got to do our Ramble Club podcast that will go out for our Patreon backers. And then it's our Christmas party.
Yeah, and don't worry, you won't be able to enjoy this live. It's an on-demand thing. But later today, Chopper Pete's Season 3 Wrestle League punishment video is going live. And it's one of the best ones.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I don't want to hype it too much.
Oh, I will.
But the hype is real. Make sure you subscribe, enable notifications so you know when that video goes live first. We're going to be doing the crap gimmicks. We've got Patreon Mailbag. We'll be doing an unboxing of the latest Wrestle Crate later. Go over to wrestlecrate.co.uk and use the code WrestleTalk to get some free little goodies in your first box. But first, there has been news in the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter. This is the quote. The Revival only has a few months left on their contracts and haven't agreed to a new deal after attempting to get a release months ago. We all know this. Revival often tease how they want to leave WWE. They had a great time in NXT. They were called up to the main roster and they were never treated as well as they were in developmental.
I think the problem was they got injured right off the bat, and that sort of thing puts a stink on you. Just look at Finn Balor.
Totally.
Like that puts a stink on you that you will never get rid of. You just become, oh, you're injury prone. Well, let's not give you a push then because we can't rely on you to not be injured.
And it doubled up because it was like a hot tag of injuries.
Yeah.
I think Scott Dawson had a jaw thing.
Jaw thing.
First.
It was like his jaw wired shut.
He comes back after 6 weeks and then Dash Wilder tears a bicep, I think it was.
It's something along those lines. Maybe the other way around. But yeah. Either way, the pair of them got injured in their first 18 months of being on the main roster.
Plus, there's also the fact that the main roster just doesn't care about tag team wrestling to the extent that NXT does. They'll go through a couple of months where they go, hey, tag team wrestling, but then it'll disappear and be pre-show nonsense for 6 months after that. Whereas on NXT takeovers and stuff, they were really prominently featured.
Yeah.
You know, main eventing takeovers sometimes.
And it was quite clear that the Revival weren't particularly happy with their position in the company. They were made to do lots of goofy nonsense with the Usos. And then when all the reports came out that they had asked for their release, the very first thing the company did was give them the tag titles as a way to be like, oh, please stay because we're trying to offer you new contracts. And then when they didn't sign those new contracts, they were given the tag titles again. But the reason why you can tell that was done as a way to appease someone as opposed to being done for creative reasons is that they didn't do anything with those tag titles after they won them. They won them from New Day at like Night of Champions or something, and then barely appeared on TV, and then just lost them right back to the New Day.
Yeah. Sorry if I looked distracted there. I was just trying to find the full quote because we've got that little bit there. The proposed idea is to do a spoof of the Fabulous Ones, which, funnily enough, is actually the original Fargo's heel gimmick in the late 50s. I don't know what any of those words are.
It's just beautiful Dave Meltzer being Dave Meltzer, being like, actually, in the 1950s.
But the larger story here is another bit of the Wrestling Observer newsletter. The booking plan on SmackDown is to turn the Revival into comedy characters. There are mixed feelings on this for obvious reasons, and it still may get shot down. But the deal where Wilder tripped and fell during the ring entrance was supposed to be the start of it.
Oh, so that was done on purpose.
Well, so this happened on last week's episode of SmackDown. The Revival are making their entrance, and hilariously, Dash Wilder, you know, he always starts with his back to the crowd, and then he turns around and walks forward. When he does so, he trips over, brilliantly, a bit of the stage, bit of the entranceway, and just sits on his butt and does that.
And Scott Dawson brilliantly turns around to see what happens. I'd be like, huh. What went down?
It looked so genuine.
Yeah.
To me, I'm surprised that's staged, and they played it up at TLC.
I don't think it was staged. I think this is more. Maybe this is why it's getting crossed in the story being told to Meltzer. I think he did fall down on accident, and it is now being turned to gimmick, a lot like Titus World slides, where it's like it wasn't planned for him to fall down during the Greatest Royal Rumble, but you better believe it becomes part of your character now. It's the R-Truth thing. R-Truth's whole deal that he is stupid stems from the fact he got a promo wrong 10 years ago on an episode of Raw, and they were like, okay, well, that's now your character. You're thick, mate.
Well, he's done it very well.
He is very good at it.
It's very good at it. But it's just... the Revival they've had a weird time because their contracts are reportedly up in April. It looks very clear that they're going to AEW. And WWE have done a few different tacts over this year on people that might go there. Of course, they let Goldust and Sean Spears go, the former Ty Dillinger. They just let them go. I think Vince McMahon reckons that was a mistake because they then showed up in AEW and were booked so much better than they ever were on the main roster.
But they haven't been proven to be draws. It's like the Christian thing. Like they let Christian go because they were like, well, what's TNA going to do with him? It's not like he's going to be a proven ratings draw. And so Christian went across and he was pushed to the moon. Christian was undefeated in TNA for 2.5 years, even though he was world champion 3 times in all of that. Which is, but it was never pinned, never submissive was his gimmick. And but he was never a ratings bump. Kurt Angle was never really a big ratings bump for TNA.
Was a pay-per-view bump.
On the one occasion, when they booked a feud with him and Samoa Joe really well. But Sting was never a big ratings bump for them. RVD was never a big ratings bump for them. So I think Vince looked at someone like Ty Dillinger and Goldust and was like, well, I mean, we can let them go because it's not like they're going to make a difference.
And, I think, but creatively, it was a bit of a... It was a show to the rest of the WWE locker room. Hey, do you feel like you're being underutilized or that the management don't see any value anymore?
You'll say the AEW, the Dark Order's promos.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, they've incepted them. And I don't think it's unrelated that after those 2 releases, WWE went into lockdown.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't release anyone until, this month, despite a lot of people publicly requesting it.
And Jordan Miles.
So that was...
For various different reasons.
So that you had that example there where they were just let go. Then the next example is Jon Moxley, Dean Ambrose, where, he said, I'm not renewing my contract for the Royal Rumble. And they did start to book him in a comedy feud. They were going to put him in a feud with Nia Jax.
Yeah.
And they booked him to lose to EC3. As they should do. I think, wrestlers on the way out of a company should put over the next crop of stars. That's the way it's always been done, and that's the way the industry grows and gets better. But WWE went back on that because they saw the fans turning against it and actually gave Ambrose a really good last 2 months of booking.
For my personal standpoint on this, I believe that WWE thought he'd change his mind.
Yeah.
I think in their minds, they were like, well, if we treat him like a hero, he'll stay. He'll see how much we love and appreciate him, and he will sign the contract that we put in front of him.
Well, remember the reports at the time. They were saying, it looks like Dean's going to take some time off. Yeah. He's going to take a year off, and then we expect him to be back. That was apparently the backstage feeling in WWE, which is so out of touch, considering what happened the second his contract officially expired. He put up that promo video saying he's effectively going to AEW.
Yeah, still unsure about the symbolism of that video.
It was subtle stuff. We really had to look into it hard. But that's another example of Vince. You've got to look at it through Vince's lens. He's either letting people go or he's making someone look good before they go. Luke Harper technically looked pretty good. If you just take the last time he was really on WWE TV, he was with Rowan. He was getting huge superstar reactions.
But he was in that feud to be the fall guy.
Yes, but it didn't really work. It's not like they put him out there and made him job.
No.
Or made him look stupid. I think we're going to see a lot more of this with the Revival.
Yeah, I think they've been burned by the Ambrose situation.
Yeah.
Where they were like, well, we gave him the big heroes thing and he still gave us the middle finger and left. So yeah, let's go back to the way that it's always worked, which is make the guy leaving look as dumb as possible, because then it really depletes all of their superstar potential when they go to the competition.
Yeah, it's like it's essentially like in the Iraq War when the retreating Iraqi guard burn all the oil fields. That's what they're doing. It's a weird analogy.
Very weird analogy
into my head. But there's loads of other examples. But it's also like no one is safe.
No.
Because you can agree and re-sign with the company. Long-term deals. Look at Mike Kanellis. Look at Gallows and Anderson, where you get a bit of a push, but then in Gallows and Anderson's case, weren't really, they've just become AJ seconds as opposed to a featured tag team act, I would argue. Although, they are fighting over the Raw tag team titles, but who cares? Mm-hmm. And Mike Kanellis, within a week, was getting humiliated with no payoff, which is the real annoying thing about it. And he's said that in interviews himself and has since asked for his release. Again. Probably again right now. After re-signing his 5-year deal.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of cases this year of the hashtag 3-week push, where it's like, hey, we're going to push this new guy, but we're not really going to fully get behind them. And then when they don't get over, be like, oh, well, they didn't get over. Yeah, I didn't think they'd get over, so that push can end now. Like, where's Cedric these days?
Yeah.
Like, Cedric at one point was tagging with Roman Reigns against Shane McMahon and Drew McIntyre. Like, that was meant to be the big thing. And then he was feuding with AJ Styles. And then he gets to that pay-per-view, and he is destroyed from pillar to post, beaten in seconds, and then it's like, and you're done. And that's it.
Humberto Carrillo had a featured match against Seth Rollins on Raw and looked really good in it. But again, it's that weirdly an AJ brick wall that people keep hitting, where that AJ just beats them again and again and again because he's the was the champion at the time. So
it's the various stop-start pushes.
What's another interesting example? The Revival I think are going to be quite clearly the obvious ones. It would be really interesting to watch SmackDown tonight, see how much the comedy character Burial is doubled down on. I mean, it could just be Burial and comedy characters aren't the same thing.
Yeah.
But I would speculate that they're being made. I mean, it happened earlier this year with the Usos, the shaving of the back.
Yeah.
When the Usos played all those rubbish pranks on them.
Usi hot.
But the other example, and this is Bubba Ray Dudley's opinion. He was speaking on Busted Open Radio, that Matt Hardy is being punished for Jeff Hardy's actions.
Yeah. Yeah, his quote here is he talks about how they always try to make Jeff the single star. He says, okay, so here's the quote. They make Jeff a single star. We've seen it before. We saw it in WWE. We've seen it today. He becomes a champion. He becomes a star. They start pushing the hell out of Jeff. Matt just falls down the ladder completely. It almost seems like they take out their frustrations on Matt for whatever Jeff may be doing wrong. Any mistake that Jeff Hardy has made, anyone could make in one time or another, and that's why he would, and that's why people would gang up on people like, I don't know what he's on about here. Effectively saying, yeah, Jeff gets in trouble and Matt takes the punishment for it.
And I could totally see that looking at from the outside. Bubba Ray, of course, has worked very closely with the Hardys over the years. I think it can also be explained as WWE just don't get Matt Hardy and they don't see him as a draw.
And they never have.
But he is...
I mean, sorry to cut you off there, but look at the Edge thing. Like in 2005, there was no one hotter than Matt Hardy because everyone saw him as the victim in the love triangle, the real life love triangle. But when they brought him back and they eventually convinced him to come back to do this shoot feud with Edge, Edge was always the one that was like, oh no, but Edge is winning the whole thing and you're just going to go back to being a mid-card nothing.
Yeah. But yeah, it's Matt Hardy is another example of someone whose contract is up very soon.
February.
In February. So, and you're already seeing him coming out in this weird late 90s, early noughties attire and being beaten quite routinely. And that's probably the best use of it. He's a good name
the established
to give
name.
new people wins. But it'll be interesting to see with him as well if they start to actively depreciate his value and make fun of him on air. Yeah. But should we get on with some crap gimmicks?
Why not? If you're wondering to yourself what the heck is a crap gimmick, well, that's a segment we do here each and every Friday on the WrestleTalk Not Live magazine show, where you, the Swaff Nation, send to us your crap gimmick wrestling submissions, and then we, the bookers, nay, promoters of crap gimmick wrestling, review them and decide whether or not we want to sign them to our promotion. Crap gimmick we like to think of as you're the 90s equivalent of you are a wrestler and a blank. And sometimes bit more abstract. Let's see what we've got in this week's submissions. James Dillon has suggested Shuck Tassel.
Shuck Tassel.
Shuck Tassel.
I'm already into the name.
Shuck Tassel was a competitive buttered corn eater until he swallowed a cob whole and was forced to retire. Weighing almost 360 pounds, Shuck made the natural transition into professional wrestling. After a few practice matches, Shuck noticed his sweat was extremely slippery, almost like he was coated in butter. He could not pick up any opponents, so slaps and kicks are his main offense. One advantage Shuck has is opponents cannot lock submissions on him since he easily slips his way out. Wrestling under the name The Butter Tormentor, Shuck is now a glistening powerhouse that is almost unbeatable in the local wrestling scene. His slippery sweat makes him rather impossible to wrestle since no opponent can get a firm grip on him. Even pinning situations prove challenging since everyone just slides off the Butter Tormentor's chest. His finishing move can be a blessing and a curse on whoever is receiving the end of it. Known as the Cob Popper, it starts with a big boot to the belly button, that's as high as his kicks can get, but as the opponent is laying down in pain, the Butter Tormentor comes off the ropes, quadrupling his speed before delivering a splash to the back of his opponent. The downside of this finisher is if the Butter Tormentor gains too much speed coming off the ropes, he will land on the opponent with too much gusto, slide straight off and out of the ring.
Wow.
Thoughts?
That is, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that's very well thought out. You've put, you know, it's an idea. It is an idea.
I do like this idea of this sort of like lore that he swallowed a whole buttery corn cob whole, and that has changed his metabolism.
It's a thyroid problem, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's completely changed like his innards and the way that his body. It sounds like a Cronenberg nightmare. Or like a rejected Stephen King novel.
Yeah, it's the origin story.
Yeah.
But not for like a superhero. It's kind of like one of those rubbish superheroes or dark superheroes.
Yeah.
I thought when you started talking about his offense, I thought baseball slides would come into it a bit more. Mm-hmm. What other slidey moves are there?
People's elbow. Do you remember that one where he did it in dress shoes?
Oh, the best people's elbow ever. Yeah, I don't think it's yeah, I really appreciate the effort. I'm not sure. It's the politest way to say this. Just think the idea is a bit weird. But not weird, yeah.
Well, let's see, because we may have...
Others.
Yeah. So this one comes in from Meng, who says, "Hi, Luke, Ollie, Laurie, that guy from Screenstalker, and certainly not Randy. I'm Meng, Podswafter from Thailand.
Hi.
You may remember me from the last time I suggested the 2MB. Well, I'm glad they got signed, either because they are crap, or you thought I might be Haku. I'm clearly not, but I hope you like this crap gimmick as well.
Let's give it a go.
Should have stuck with the fact that you're actually Haku.
Yeah, we'll sign anything and agree to anything you send us because he's terrifying.
So Meng has suggested Friedrich the Ubermensch.
Ubermensch.
Friedrich is a German big muscular man with a body shape and mustache that every man in the 80s wanted to have. Despite his great shape, he always comes out wearing long pants, short sleeve shirts and a Bluetooth headset plugged into his ear. He walks to the ring, always on his phone, then suddenly stops, looks up and asks the crowd, who called the Uber? He should be a heel that comes out to interrupt people if they have called an Uber. When they start feuding, he would never listen to what his opponents have to say and just keep yelling, just tell me where you want to go, or get out of my car. In the match, he will often check his phone and sometimes roll out of the ring to take a phone call, come back to the ring and ask his opponents, where are you going again? His signature move is the Michinoku Driver, which is called the Uber Driver, and his finisher is a running Samoan drop called Passenger Delivered. Thanks for your consistent work and good luck with both WrestleTalk and Screenstalker.
I didn't see that coming. I thought German guy, Ubermensch.
It's such a good twist.
I thought it was going to be like a sort of
Alex Wright.
Yeah, party boy style gimmick. So but the Bluetooth headset, I'm like, okay, is it an updated version? But as soon as he said about who ordered the Uber, I was like, but of course. And that's like, I've not seen that done. That is like that's a perfect blend of a sort of observational comedy character that's current. Because I feel like I've met this guy, but we're just putting him in a wrestling environment.
And he's this big, huge, muscular man as well with the mustache.
He could. I mean, look. I very much like this. I'm into it, and there's loads of potential. He drives to the ring, like Alberto Del Rio.
Yeah.
But he should also drive his opponent to the ring.
Nice, and drop them off for the match.
Drop them off, and then he gets out and says, "I'm your driver. I'm not just your driver."
The only thing missing from this is a 5-star gag. Like the 5-star Dave Meltzer.
Oh, you get to rate the matches afterwards.
There it is.
He can play like the opponent can put his own music on for the entrance. Gives him a bottle of water after, like if it's a really good match.
Yeah.
This is good. If you said that someone's going to suggest an Uber driver gimmick, I'd be like, I don't think it's going to work.
It really didn't work for Stuber.
But it's just, and that has a wrestler in.
It does. And Camille Nunziata, who's hilarious.
But it's the use of calling him the Ubermensch, making him German. Brilliant. Really like that.
Well,
thank you, Meng.
Chris Jenkins.
What a record for Meng.
I know, right? Well, Chris Jenkins has got a tough act to follow here. Let's see how it goes on.
Jenkins, the maker of the hammer. See the
indeed.
hammer down there?
Yep.
Oh, there we go.
Chris Jenkins says, hello everyone, love the show. Storm Warning is a tag team that consists of Lightning, a 6'6", 380 pounds, overweight yet very agile wrestler with a great big bushy beard. Think Earthquake with Kevin Owens' agility.
I was already thinking the natural disasters, yes.
He loves to fly high and flip around the ring. And his tag partner is Thunder, a 5'2", 180-pound jacked, impossibly strong luchador. Think Kalisto with Cesaro amounts of strength. He is the slow-moving powerhouse that loves to show off his raw strength. Imagine him no-selling a shoulder tackle from someone twice his side.
Ishii.
Their signature move is the Thunderclap. Thunder and Lightning both stand in the ring and ramp up the crowd by making swirling arm motions like Bobby Roode to deliver a simultaneous clap from halfway across the ring, sending their opponents through the rope and out of the ring like they have a big blow of the high winds. But their actual finisher is the Lightning Bolt. Lightning lifts their opponent into an airplane spin, tosses them to Thunder, who catches said opponent midair to transition into a razor's edge. And they come out to Eye of the Storm by Bullet for My Valentine.
I mean...
Oh, wait, there's a bit of punnage here. Things may be calm right now, but there's a storm coming, and Thunder or Lightning are going to rain down on CGW. All hail the future champions.
That's good. Any other week, I'd be really into that. And we love you, Jenkins.
Leroy Jenkins!
But, man, and you put the sort of move set, the entrance music, that promo work there, the looks. I mean, I've got Heavy Machinery in my head as to cast, but it's the Ubermensch.
The Ubermensch.
Humble Shaker!
Okay, I went off the rails there. If you want to submit a question to the mailbag, all you've got to do is become one of our awesome pledge hammers on Patreon and leave a comment in the community section labeled mailbag. Do not email me. I will lose it. I'm bad at my job. This one comes in from Lorenzo Haynes, who says, to Luke, I think I heard you say in a previous video that you don't eat meat. What made you stop eating meat? How long has it been? It's been over a year now. October, November 2018 was when I became vegetarian.
Yeah, but after claiming that you were 80% vegetarian.
80% vegan, I was claiming. Just a ludicrous
even worse.
But yeah, it was more like my wife's vegan, so I don't eat meat at home. I was only really eating meat when I went to my parents' house, like for dinner or anything. And I realized that I don't really need this to complete a meal. And I was quite enjoying the food that we were eating. Plus, I walked into my local supermarket and saw the amount of meat that was there that was so cheap. And it just scared me a little bit because I'm like, wow, this is like one shop of thousands in this country. And this is just one packet of meat of millions in this country on a daily basis. That's quite scary.
Hot take. A very hot take for climate change reasons.
Yeah.
Can't last.
It can't last.
It's not going to last. Let's be realistic. Let's start changing the behavior now. Not to like stop anything, but just because it won't be there forever, it's best to adapt now.
But he's also got a follow-up question to you specifically. I was the one, forever young, who said Pete's reaction to Keith Lee getting his moment was negative in the SummerSlam livestream, or Survivor Series livestream, rather. I was completely kidding. That's why I say I would have loved to have seen Luke's reaction instead. It was supposed to be a play on how people always call Luke negative. I was calling someone negative and requesting for Luke. I guess it was just a joke that fell flat, but I really felt bad after I watched the stream, so please let Pete know. Great job on the channel, everyone.
Oh, we will do, yeah. It's very difficult to read people's comments, which are sarcastic and generally quite ironic and witty. But when we're we read a lot of comments and we try and reply to a load of them as well. So you can't. A lot of them just come across as literal, and a lot of that nuance is lost. Even if there's a crying with laughter face emoji, like even then it just looks like you're laughing at us. But thanks for clearing that up.
I can't remember the exact wording of it, but there was a live stream that you and I did where someone sent us a message that was sort of like very negative about us. But we read it as a joke because it was like that we thought there's no way someone's being serious when they say this. So we just sort of burst into laughter about it, being like, "Oh, that's a really funny joke." And then he messaged us back, we're like, "No, I'm very serious."
Yeah. So we can't win.
Can't win. Jesse Long, let me run this fantasy scenario by your brains if you'll indulge me for a moment. Keith Lee is a surprise Rumble entrant as a member of the NXT roster. Lee wins the Rumble, stays a member of the NXT roster, beats Brock Lesnar for the WWE title at Mania, still as a member of the NXT roster, doesn't move up until after Mania. Thanks for the always wonderful content, the American Dadass Jesse Long.
Yeah. I mean, people might say, "Oh, it's too soon." I mean, that's how you make a star. I would not object to that in the slightest.
No one said that about the Shield when they debuted. Well, it's a bit soon to be putting them in the ring with John Cena. Chris Thorne said, if you could choose one dynamic and insert it into each storyline or match, what would it be?
Ladders.
For example, I want to see Moxley versus Jimmy Havoc, but rather than go through a typical death match, they're just hitting brutal moves on each other. Save the death match for later on, and it just increases the hype. P.S. Can I plug my Undisputed Era Fitbit watch face I made? It's on FitFace, and I'm making an animated Firefly Funhouse watch next. I'll have a few puppets moving akin to the intro of the show. If you type into Reddit on Squared Circle, you can see my post with a link. All feedback is welcome.
I'll go check that out. That sounds really cool. I guess that's sort of the digital watch faces, and you can have custom wallpapers, they still call it that?
I don't know.
Watch faces,
Ket says, what's up, WrestleTalk? How do you feel about the tables match? I like the match type, but the way you win I'm not a fan of. You just put your opponent through a table. This means you only get to see one table spot. I get the tension part of it, but I still think it's lame. I'd like it if it was a pinfall or submission only. What do you guys think?
Well, I would usually agree with you, but we watched TLC 2011 over the last couple of weeks. Go over to, you're a pledge hammer on Patreon. You've hopefully seen or listened to our exclusive podcast review of that show. And it has a really well-structured Randy Orton versus Wade Barrett tables match.
It's a great match,
with that really, really good, somehow not that contrived, Barrett second rope splash, Orton jumps up, puts him through the table with an RKO. So yeah, but I do understand it's not like the smoothest gimmick, and it's definitely not a blow-off match. It's the sort of interim step. But if that's what the story's based around, I mean, stuff like Rusev and Lashley, that makes sense because of it's sort of symbolic of a divorce hearing. But yeah, table matches don't often work for me because is the table going to break? I feel like there's a 20% chance that it's not going to happen.
I think I've always got I think it's a nostalgia thing for me. Like when you and I were sort of like growing up watching wrestling, tables matches were like a really big deal. And it was like, oh my God, they're going to be in a tables match.
All stipulations were.
Yeah, and it was like, wow, like I can't wait to see a tables match between these two people or these two teams. So I think I've always got that sort of like pang of nostalgia for it, being like, oh man, Royal Rumble 2000s, Hardys, Dudleys.
I'm always a ladder match man.
Flame Inc. Live, Vince McMahon and Tony Khan tasks you to remake National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation using their wrestlers. Who plays who in the movie? But Clark Griswold's boss must be Vince or Tony himself.
That's good.
Good luck and Merry Christmas.
So, the uncle, I can't remember names, but Uncle should be Otis.
Yes, that's a great shout. I nearly said the line there, but it's a swear word. S-word's full!
Who would be Chevy Chase?
Who's going to be Griswold?
Because it's not like that's one of it's one of Chase's more restrained performances because he's not like an egomaniac there. He's trying to do good.
He's just a bit of a loose, not loose cannon. He's just a bit,
He's the prototype Will Ferrell character that Ferrell would go on to play in a lot of movies.
It's tough.
We'll come back to it. I mean, what? And any other characters? The wife?
Yeah.
They're both just nice.
I was going to say, like,
people,
really,
aren't
like, within National Lampoon's, particularly in Christmas Vacation, it's just Griswold, his brother, and, Murray, not Bill Murray, his brother, F. Abraham Murray. So those are the three that you're looking to really focus on. One of those is already cast for you. And we've already put Otis in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Reese, hello, lovely time with the lovely boys. I've noticed for a few months now that you've been commented on how Roman is finally clicking and that his booking has changed for the better. I'm curious what makes you think this, as from where I'm sitting, the booking is nearly identical to what it was before Joe Anoa'i had to take time out to beat cancer. Since his return, he was shoehorned into a Mania match which he won, was the reason both in and out of kayfabe world for the wildcard rule, has had multiple feuds where it only seems he can lose if the odds are heavily against him, Shane with the Minions, the Totally Not Bludgeon Brothers, and most recently TLC, and always seems to be presented as the most important thing on the show, regularly main eventing SmackDown or having higher build matches for the title, which, while he hasn't challenged for, doesn't really matter again as it's been treated as below him. Heck, the most damning thing in this past year was despite KO and Becky being booked to have apologies for the McMahons, Roman never did, despite crossing paths with both Vince and Shane. So what's changed? Is it just the title thing? Just the absence of a few months making the heart grow fonder? Respect for Joe overcoming cancer? Sorry if this comes across as ranty, just generally curious.
Oh, no, it didn't come across as ranty at all, Reece.
It's a great question.
Yeah, you're right. The booking has not changed. They were always very good at babyface booking of Roman. That's why a portion of the crowd always cheered him.
Yeah.
Because even before the whole leukemia thing, there'd be such brilliantly structured matches where he'd have to come from behind, he'd be against all odds. And we said at the time, if this was anyone else, if this was Kevin Owens, it
Dean
would be
Ambrose.
amazing.
Yeah.
But the problem was Roman's character at the time. It just didn't connect with people. And I would argue was pretty two-dimensional. But I think it is, yeah. I think it's a little bit of depth, well, a lot of depth, seeped through when he said, I'm Joe Anoa'i and I've got leukemia. And all of a sudden, that guy we've been, hating on for years for being overpushed was no longer just a character and a symbol of WWE's bad choices. It was a guy. And yeah, I think they should have pushed him harder. I think he should have been winning the title after coming back.
Yeah, I think him being away from the title has really helped this cause. It's a bit like they're pushing John Cena too much down our throats. Oh, we'll CM Punk's champion for a year. All of a sudden, John Cena doesn't feel... even though he actually was. He was still the main event of every show. He was still the one who was leading into the match with The Rock. Punk was a complete afterthought.
Well, I still didn't like Cena at that time.
No, but you compare like the people hating Cena in 2011 compared to when people hated him in 2007. Like that was where he was just like the champion all the time and always on top. It's just ridiculous that in 2011 he was still always on top, but because Punk was champion, we almost forgave it ever so slightly. And I think because we had Kofi as champion, we almost forgave that Roman was the guy that was actually the push star. Frank Botello asks, this question was asked to the Cultaholic lads. Don't know who they are. And I wanted to get your opinion on this. If Twitter was a thing in the Attitude Era, who do you think would be great at it, like Becky Lynch, and who would be bad at it, like Seth? I feel like Kurt Angle would have so much fun with Twitter during the Triple H feud, and I think that Goldberg, although he's professional now, would be very hot-headed online. He'd be awful at it.
Yeah.
Goldberg would have been very bad at it.
I don't think. I don't think it would have been good for a lot of people. Because a lot of them were drinking and partying and doing a lot of stuff like that.
You can imagine Nash and Hall.
Exactly. I think there would be so many scandals. It's like when Twitter was first becoming a big thing in wrestling, and an occasional scandal or DUI or something would break, everyone would say, man, I know it's bad now, but imagine if Twitter was around in the Attitude Era, or even worse, the 80s, when the business was even more toxic. So I think actually it would be very damaging for a lot of people. So obviously the best person you would think, I guess, is The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. But he's so genuine. I don't know if... You know how like some people are, I'm a bad guy on TV, but I'm Dwayne Johnson on Twitter. I'll reply to people. I'll say massive respect to this guy who helped me out in the business. I think that would work as a detriment to how cool The Rock was.
I completely agree with you. Yeah.
So I don't think. I think most people would have been back. I can't think of a single person.
Maybe Foley.
But even then, I don't want to know Foley's thoughts. But part of the reason a lot of those Attitude Era guys worked is because the presentation was controlled, essentially. As soon as they start getting on Twitter and stuff, it does take away a bit of the star power.
Austin Tussey says, ending 2009, coming into the new decade, the champions were Sheamus as WWE champion, Undertaker as World Heavyweight champion, Miz as US champion, Drew McIntyre as the Intercontinental champion, Shawn Michaels and Triple H as the tag champs, Melina as the Divas champ, and the women's champ was Michelle. Do they still have 2 titles then? My question is, do you think our current set of champs going into the new decade are better than the ones we had last decade?
Yes.
Well, yeah, I mean, DX aren't tag champs, so
Yeah.
I'm going to say yes.
Yeah. US champion is Rey Mysterio right now, and it was just AJ Styles. I love The Miz, but, Intercontinental
Shinsuke.
is Shinsuke Nakamura.
It's just a shame that they don't give him anything to do.
Undertaker, yeah. But, we've kind of got Bray Wyatt Fiend, which is, although the matches suck, what a compelling character. Undertaker was having much, much better matches at that point in his career. Sheamus, I love Sheamus, but, Brock Lesnar is definitely a bigger draw for all his faults. And it's not even from a work rate. We're in a work rate era. Nakamura, for instance. I think they're better characters overall. Drew McIntyre now compared to Drew McIntyre in 2009. There's so much more depth.
Completely. Simon Gange says, as a new Pledgehammer, I've been looking through the content that's become available to me, and I was wondering, whatever happened to the plans for the bi-weekly WrestleTalk Mastermind quiz show? Has it been scrapped, or is it just on the back burner?
It's one of those things, we're in pilot season, and that was your idea. I think it's a great idea. Still want to do it eventually. But it was, that was very labor resource
It really
heavy.
was, yeah. It took us a long time.
And really, it doesn't, what we're thinking about doing with WrestleTalk is not making it that sort of stuff so much anymore. It'll be news and reviews, but then we'll start a second channel. It's an exclusive. Start a second channel offshoot for the more, the other stuff, like the music video punishments. We can do stuff like Screen Grapple again without annoying the people who just subscribe for news and reviews.
Yeah, we think we've essentially bogged down all the content with stuff that people didn't want to come to our channel for. So the idea would be to have a second place that people who do want that can just go over there, and the other people do not get annoyed and complain.
And I imagine if you're still watching this video at this point, you're
one of those
you're
people.
that person.
Yeah. Callum says, hey, what's up, WrestleTalk gang?
What's up?
My question to you guys has nothing to do with wrestling. Is there any TV series that you recommend to watch? Don't choose Breaking Bad. I've obviously seen that.
Obviously. Succession is fantastic. I'm guessing you want a serious one. Rick and Morty. Everyone's seen that. What about you?
Good Place I'm always going to recommend.
Yeah.
If you're after, this is... me and my wife have recently just got back into the wonderful melodrama of How to Get Away with Murder. It's a show that, in its first series, you're like, oh, wow, this is actually quite good, and I'm really, really intrigued by it. We're now in, season 4 and 5, and it's just so wacky and ludicrous that I'm still sticking with it because I'm loving the melodrama here. That's still played very straight.
You tolerate and get a kick out of crappy things more than I do sometimes. Mindhunter is great on Netflix too.
It's too serious.
That's
actually
so slow.
It's actual proper telly.
It's so slow.
Drew Porter, I was listening to the TLC predictions and I heard my question read out on the bus, so I started celebrating. Everyone thought I was weird. But to answer my question, which is if AEW, WWE, and Impact Wrestling were to have an all-out war, who would get the most support from fans and who would be able to put on the best weekly shows and pay-per-views, who would win to add if all companies were putting in their all and were able to fight with each other? A.k.a. Rusev would fight Luchasaurus and Michael Elgin. So which company would win? PS, I'm dyslexic, so sorry for any mistakes. Yours sincerely, Drew Porter.
There's hardly any mistakes.
No, it's just trying to understand what the question is, I think. It's not mistakes in the question itself.
I think Drew just wants to fantasy book a big all-out war. It's, who would win? From a backstage political perspective, no one, really, because no one would want their guys to lose to the other one. Who would get most support from the fans is interesting. WWE, I think, because they've got the largest fan base. And, going by the last week, if they decide to put an NXT-style product on, WWE will put on the best product overall.
Yeah. Will hates getting his bold 2020 predictions in. Andrade and McIntyre will be both WWE and Universal Champion in the year.
Whoa.
Side note, Ollie, you remind me of my cousin Killian from Cork County.
I know what he's talking about.
He liked to do somersaults in the forest. One day he ran to a tree and ended up with his head up his arse.
Yeah, cheers, Will. It's a Sheamus promo from TLC 2011.
And you said that all of his promos were, you remind me of blank from County Blank.
Yeah.
And here is a story about them that ends with something up the arse.
Mm-hmm. Oh, like many of my stories.
Yeah, Chopper JJ. Hello, Swaff Nation and the WrestleTalk crew. Before I ask my question, I just want to say thank you very much, everyone working so hard at WrestleTalk. It's been another great year, and I'm very thankful for all the content you provided. Have yourself a very, very Merry Christmas and New Year.
You too, Jobber JJ. He's really come through the Swaff Nation ranks.
Indeed, yeah. My question is, why does NXT have title matches almost every single week on TV? Here's to another great year of WrestleTalk content and great moments on live streams. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's 3 letters, AEW.
Yeah.
That is
they
it.
Want,
Yeah.
They're trying to beat AEW in the ratings.
Yeah. So they're just like, we'll just put on takeover cards every week.
It's interesting how long they'll be able to maintain that, because they're doing very well so far. And it's a marathon, not a sprint. And in this particular marathon, NXT are ahead right now. Mm-hmm. After they put in 2 wins and AEW, they drew. So so the last month NXT has been on top.
Absolutely, the Survivor Series thing it was such a smart move.
That's the turning point.
Yeah,
TNA turning point. But is it hot shotting? Is it good booking, or in retrospect will it be burnout?
Well, that's what I was going to say. When you say it's a marathon, not a sprint, I think that NXT are currently sprinting. And there's only so far you can sprint for. And lastly from Sean Dunn, Merry Christmas, WrestleTalk team, patrons and wrestling community. No question, just have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you too.
Indeed.
Why not celebrate with a Wrestle Crate?
Oh,
that rhymes.
nice.
That rhymes.
You rhymed those words and you didn't even realise it.
Yeah, so let's do a little unboxing of January's crate. Of course, go over to wrestlecrate.co.uk. Use the code WrestleTalk to get some exclusive items in your first box.
I can see some exciting stuff here.
We've got a t-shirt first.
What is it? Oh, t-shirt first. I need to get it open.
I'm going to put it down there.
That's so strong. It is. It's the... Well, we kept calling him the Ojmo.
Oh, wicked.
OJMO.
OJMO, what a guy. What a wrestler.
We got so much hate for calling him Ojmo, even though everyone does.
Yeah, that was like he's... Well, yeah. I don't know what people call him backstage. I've got another t-shirt.
It's a nice t-shirt, though. I like that.
Another t-shirt.
And I think I can see who it is. It's our boy.
Oh, it's Sami Callihan.
Oh, yes.
Yes. I think this is December's
It is December's, yeah.
Woo!
Look at this.
Sami Callihan. That's a cool design too.
Oh, you all right there? It's an empty envelope. Because there was meant to be a Christmas card in there that says "Rocking Around the Christmas Tree" with a picture of The Rock.
Oh, that's smart.
It says, "Whatever you're cooking, hopefully your Christmas rocks."
That's good.
Good.
That's a nice little Christmas card there, actually. Got a little British Bulldog sticker.
Yes, Davey boy.
Love a sticker. And Independent Wrestling on Demand. Is that an advert or a... Oh, it's 30 days free. Nice.
Hey, now we're in for something special here.
Hit me up.
Gate of Honor.
Yes!
The WrestleGate Pro Show.
We were at that show!
Yes, you can actually see us in the crowd on this show. Features Jody Fleisch versus Joe Nelson. Nathan Cruz versus...
Joe Nelson's really good.
Nathan Cruz versus Dean Allmark.
Yeah.
Robbie X, Sean Custom.
That
amazing.
match was incredible.
Sonna Durson, who was on WWE quite recently. He was a squash match for Eric Rowan, I think. Versus Jake McCluskey. Callum Newman, our boy, wearing his WrestleTalk gear. Against Scotty Davis, and the main event for the heavyweight title, Rampage Brown versus Lucas Steele.
The future of the business.
Great show. Great show.
Got 2 pins.
Oh, I love a pin.
Oh, nice. They're Riptide pins. I love how Riptide do their graphics and stuff.
And it's the No Fun Police.
It's the No Fun Police.
We were literally just talking about these guys in the office.
The latest edition of Calling Spots. Really cool zine. Later.
Here's something for the office.
Ooh, what's that?
It's an official calendar for 2020.
Oh, that's cool.
From Beyond Gorilla. So, lovely, lovely photos there. There's a photo of Jordan Grace with the former LAX, Chris Brooks.
Whoa.
Very nice. There's Keith Lee and Matt Riddle on September. The Lucha Bros for April. Oof. Paul Robinson get hit by a light tube against Jimmy Havoc.
And we've also got a Lucky Kid autographed picture.
Look at that.
Pretty
beautiful
awesome.
Cara Noir there for July. We're going to have this up in the office.
So usually we would stop there, but last week for TLC we did a song.
Yes, we did.
Do you want to do a Christmas song?
Oh, yeah, let's do a Christmas
What
song.
Christmas song do you want to do?
We don't want to, because we're going to do this on the Christmas episode as well. And I was going to suggest doing Step Into Christmas there, because that's a belting tune.
How long is it?
Well, I was going to say do that for the Christmas show, but we
Okay.
could do...
Live Aid?
Yeah, let's do Live Aid. Do they... Okay, hit the Bono notes.
This is our last full day in the office with everyone. There'll be people...
bearing in mind you need to... Because you've just got Queen at Live Aid, so you need to search for... Do they know it's Christmas?
Do they know? Well, tonight, thank God it's them.
And it's my favourite
so-
Bono line. Thank God it's them, not me.
Yeah. This is our last full day with everyone in the office. It's our Christmas party later.
Are you putting it on mute?
That was just for this intro.
Oh,
sting
sorry.
bit.
Right.
I
It's going to make karaoke very difficult.
So we won't really get well, we'll have the Christmas Day special, but I guess everyone's going home for the weekend now. They might have this on in the car to go back to their families.
Driving home for Christmas.
And here's us to, you're driving. You can't change the podcast.
No.
You're going to have to pull over to skip this or don't cause an accident.
I think
Just turn off the radio.
I think I cut the TLC one off last week because it was quite bad.
Well,
but
there's
I'm
only
not
two
cutting
of us
this one
time.
off.
So do you want to do alternate songs, alternate verses or lines?
We could do alternate lines, maybe.
Who's going to get the Bono one?
The
Bono.
Bono one. With your name that sounds like a dog biscuit.
I'll bring this close to the mic.
It's Christmas time. There's no need to be... Oh, sorry, I've completely ballsed this up. Where you go?
At Christmas time, we let in light and we banish shade.
Oh, very nice. And in our world of plenty,
You singing the
we
right
can
song.
spread a smile of joy.
Throw your arms around the world at Christmas time.
But say your prayer and pray for the other ones.
At Christmas time, it's hard, but when you're having fun,
There's a world outside your window
and it's a world of dread and fear,
where the only water flowing
is the bitter sting of tears.
and the Christmas bells that ring there.
Are the clanging chimes of doom.
Well, tonight, thank God it's them instead of you. And there won't be snow in Africa this Christmas time.
The greatest gift they'll get this year is life.
Beautiful. Where nothing ever grows.
No rain or river flows.
All together now. Do they know it's Christmas time at all?
I always thought this bit sounds like Doctor Who.
Here's to you, raise a glass for everyone.
Here's to them underneath that burning sun. I wanted to do Dizzy
But
Rascals
they
rap.
know it's Christmas time at all. Do, 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 do. Nope, too early. Can't believe how bad I got that for opening verse. Feed the world. Let them know it's Christmas time. Feed the world.
Look who's coming!
Yes.
It's Laurie!
Feed the world. Let them know it's Christmas time. Feed the world. Let them know it's Christmas time. Feed the world.
Feed him.
Let
Them know it's Christmas time. Feed the world. Let them know it's Christmas time. Feed the world.
Can you fade out a karaoke track?
It's like another 20 seconds of
watch
this,
me do
yeah?
it. I'm fading out.
World, let them know it's Christmas time again. World.
There's that version where Tom York just starts hitting the piano. It's the best bit about that version. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us here. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Laurie's got to do the
click
news now.
videos that have just appeared on the desk to catch up with the latest awesome WrestleTalk things, and stick around because Chopper Pete's music video punishment is up later, where he sings Tyler Breeze. It's amazing. And press this button here to become a pledge channel on Patreon. I've been Ollie Davis. This has been Luke Owen. Over there was El Fakador Laurie Blake. And that was Wrestling Merry Christmas.